Bryson City. So we escaped on a Thursday afternoon. And it's a 5-hour drive from Raleigh, most of the way on I-40. Pretty easy drive. And, yeah, it's the gateway to the Smokies on the North Carolina side. And as you were mentioning, the Smokies is the most visited park in the US, and Bryson City is known as the quieter side because if anyone's been to Gatlinburg, you know how crazy that is. Gatlinburg and Pigeon Forge is just like on steroids. Tourism on steroids. It's off the charts.
Yeah.
And, I think the Smokies, it's a great park. That's why it's popular, but it's within an X amount of distance of 2/3 of the US population, I believe.
Yeah.
So easy accessible to a lot of people.
Yeah, very much so. And it is split into 2 states. So in case you don't know, North Carolina and then Tennessee.
Yeah.
We've spent most of our time on the Tennessee side. So it was nice to come on to experience the North Carolina side. Both sides are wonderful. And it was actually nice to experience it down Bryson City, the Southern Gateway, because, the quieter side. And we did get a sense of that from where we were in the park down that area. Mm-hmm. Being the time of year, it was just past peak colours, so crazy numbers had dropped off a little bit, so it wasn't so busy. But I think possibly in the peak fall and the summer, you'd see a lot more people down there.
Yeah, I just can't stop thinking about Gatlinburg and the first time we rocked up there and what our expectations were and what we actually saw is like,
It
man,
the man of the woods
no,
town
like I don't want to put rubbish on Gatlinburg. You know, it is what it is, and it has its own, what can I say, character and charm. Maybe hidden somewhere behind the strip. But yeah, we're like, oh man, we rock up and Gatlinburg, it's like this, it's got all the mini golf and the arcades and the pancake places, and we're like right on the doorstep of this beautiful national park. It's kind of like they've dropped, I always say it's kind of like they've dropped a state fair permanently at the gateway to a national park.
Yeah.
It's like very interesting. You got the Ripley's, believe it or not, upside down buildings coming along that strip in Pigeon Forge. It's just like, moonshine. I mean, get into your moonshine, but it's like, it was interesting. It was kind of like, wasn't the national park experience we were expecting.
No.
So Bryson City, is more of that mountain town, quieter side.
Local kind of feel in the town there. I liked that. The restaurants, the breweries, the stores, it was all local. Was there chains? Or there was every place has a McDonald's. There's a McDonald's on the outskirts of town, but the town itself is purely local, which is what we love to experience.
Yeah.
So I love that. And it was only like a 1.5 street town really, which is great.
Yeah, easy to walk around. Just, park your car once and away you go.
Yeah.
But we rocked up we got there at dark actually, later than we expected, and this time of year, coming into the holiday season, it was just lit up with lights. It was magical. So that was pretty cool for the kids to see.
Yeah, I'm glad we arrived at night actually to see that because that was special. It was like, wow, this town, the entire town was decorated in the lights. And then we asked Mark about it, who we'll talk about in a moment, and he told us they do it for the Polar Express train experiences, what we were going to Bryson City, one of the reasons we were going to experience that. So the whole town gets behind the magic of the Polar Express train ride, and they decorate all the buildings in the town with these Christmas lights to bring that magical sort of North Pole experience. It was pretty cool.
Yeah, super cool. I liked it. It was a good first impression because we've skirted through there briefly before. I don't think I've ever stayed there. But you skirted through there briefly for one night and didn't get a real feel for the place. So that was a nice welcoming.
Yeah, it really was. It was nice. And Savannah and I stayed there for one night coming back from Chattanooga, so we didn't really do much. We just walked down the town, got something to eat, and then left the next day. So it was nice to dive into Bryson City and get to know it and experience not just the town but everything around it. We've got the Smokies, not just the Smokies, the Nentahala National Forest, which is a really great adventure playground. If anyone likes whitewater rafting, zip lining, all of that kind of forest fun, fly fishing, kayaking, you're going to find that a lot of that in the Nantahala forest. And, of course, the Blue Ridge Parkway is just there as well.
Yeah. Outdoor playground for sure. Adventure in the mountains.
Yeah.
So that's what we did when we first arrived. We grabbed a quick pizza from Anthony's, which was cool, family-friendly place, and they're almost closing, but they were gracious enough to stay open for us.
Yeah.
Given us all weary travellers. And it was raining too, actually. It was a bit wet and miserable. But yeah, had a nice pizza and some wings and stuff, and then headed off to our cabin. Now, our cabin was great. The actual cabin, one of the challenges was it was 30 minutes out of downtown Bryson City, up a bit of a windy, narrow, steepish road, and in the dark, and we had no cell phone coverage, and so no, Google Maps or whatever. And being unfamiliar with the road was a bit of a challenge, and we kind of got lost.
We did get lost, and we committed a mistake. We should know better, given how much we travel.
Yeah.
But one, we've just become so reliant, especially in America, because you get it so many places, so reliant on Wi-Fi and GPS. So you you can kind of switch off and just get real lazy. And so we did that. We should have really looked at the map properly before we went to find the cabin, realised that we would have had no Wi-Fi and needed backup in case something went wrong and we got lost, which we did. But we did have directions. We were smart enough to print those directions off.
Yeah.
Otherwise,
kind of saved our butt in the end.
I know. So I wasn't going to print them off. I was like, oh, no, I've got it in the email. And then I thought I better print them off. So GPS, especially when you're in mountain areas, is not very, very reliable. So you really do want to have a print map directions as backup in case it happens. So thankfully we had that. We could backtrack a little bit and find our way to the cabin up a very steep mountain, which wasn't meant to be steep. So that really threw us off.
No, and we're in the soccer mum's car, the Kia Sedona minivan, not built for mountain climbing. And like I said, it had been raining. The road was covered in leaves. It was hard to distinguish the edge of the road, and there was big drop-offs. The kids were freaking out. I'm thinking like, one stage I'm going to have to knock on someone's door if we find a house, because it was very isolated. I'm thinking, rocking up to this door, and they're going like, who's this crazy guy with a funny accent, and what's he want, and all that sort of stuff, and it was pitch black. I mean, there's no street lights in Raleigh area, let alone being out in the mountains. It's so dark. Got the high beams on, and like we're just sitting there like, what are we going to do? I even had a thought of, we're going to have to drive back out into town and just jump in a hotel for the night, and we'll figure out the cabin tomorrow in the daylight.
Well, it was scary, and it was scary, but we thought that we were lost, even though we were following the directions written by the property rental company. But they had told you on the phone, it's real easy to find and the road's not steep. And so we're going up this really steep road, and we're like, we must be in the wrong place. You said it wasn't steep.
I know. I'm thinking, this can't be right. This cannot be right. But anyway.
The version of steep in the North Carolina mountains must be different to the steep Rampart Hill near our house.
Thankfully, we are experienced travellers, and I've driven a lot of roads and a lot of different vehicles. So slowly, we end up figuring it out and getting there. Made it safely in the long run, but it's all part of the adventure.
It is.
But yeah, the cabin was great. 2-story cabin with a loft area with a bedroom place for the kids and another like living room upstairs, and fully wraparound deck, huge windows, let in some natural light, and totally isolated.
Yeah, beautiful.
But when you wake up in the morning, that fresh, crisp mountain air I spoke about, and the colours of the trees and the leaves are just striking. If you checked out our put up some Instagram photos and reels recently, you'll see I took some drone shots and it was just spectacular.
Yeah, we'll leave links to those shots in the show notes on thisisraleigh.com. So just search for this episode there and you'll find it even under the podcast tab. And I will put a link to our post on Bryson City as well, which will have the photos and more details on the cabin. We can actually go and click over and see the cabin that we stayed in.
Mm-hmm.
And everything we did in Bryson City will have links and lots of information on the blog post. And that blog post is actually on whytravelblog.com, our other blog, in case you didn't know, and links to that will be in the show notes. Just
one more quick hot tip on the cabin. Logistics of it, I mentioned it was 30 minutes drive to Bryson City. Now, we should have known better. Considering it was a 3-night, 2-day stay with a busy itinerary, we shouldn't have been staying 30-minute drives out of downtown. We should have stayed in town. Mm-hmm. We could walk everywhere, and because it was an hour round trip, in and out every day. and having dinner in Bryson City of a night time and having to drive up that windy mountain road in the dark late at night after a busy day with the kids was not fun. So it wasn't practical.
And I think just to add on to that, like if it was a different destination, say, I don't know, Nashville, you know, staying half an hour out might not be so bad. But because we're here in the Smoky Mountains region, in that we'd have 30 minutes to get into Bryson City, but then because we were going into the national park, we'd have another hour drive just to get to Clingmans Dome in the national park. So if you think about, like, if you're just coming in and out of, say, Bryson City and not doing anything else,
might be fine.
The half hour might be fine, but again, you got to think about driving at night up that really steep road. If it wasn't a steep road, it may have been okay, but it's really, and this is really important when you think about when you're traveling, when you're planning for travel and research, these are the really important things to think about because it can really impact the experience that you had. Now, we had a great time. We always do. Nothing really disturbs our travel experiences. But, you know, it's just careful kind of consideration and planning. That cabin would have been perfect if you're staying for like a week and we travel busy. Like we're always doing stuff. You might not be that kind of traveler. You just might want to do one thing a day and the next day have a complete rest at the cabin. So it's totally dependent on how you travel.
Yeah. The unfortunate thing was that we were getting home in the dark and we were leaving early in the morning in the dark for activities. So we didn't really get to experience the cabin.
Yeah.
But location is key. Obviously it comes back to your budget and that too. But yeah, like I said, a quick stay didn't really work with a 30-minute drive, and it's hard to find that balance because we wanted the mountain cabin getaway and then explore the national park and Bryson City. It's hard to find that balance, but yeah, extended stay in a cabin with downtime, perfect.
Yeah, and we left the morning that we were checking out. We waited until actual checkout. We didn't plan anything for that morning, and we just spent it there at the cabin. We were playing checkers and enjoying the view and just having slow coffee morning, and it was just beautiful. It was really just so lovely there. Yeah,
absolutely. Didn't want to leave at that stage.
Yeah, it's gorgeous.
But yeah, we'll figure it out next time. Okay, so yeah, I mentioned Smoky Mountains. One of the best things of the whole trip was a hike we did in the Deep Creek area, which was just like 3 miles from downtown Bryson City, so easy access. It was great, and it's one of the best hiking areas in the whole park. Yeah, both North Carolina and Tennessee side. There's at least 3 trails or loop trails that you could, do a short hike or time all together and do a longer hike. And the one we did was we experienced 3 waterfalls and some streams and just some beautiful fall scenery.
Yeah, it's gorgeous.
But one of the different things we did was we had a guide. Now, we've done, I don't know how many hikes, hundreds of hikes in state parks, national parks, all over the place. But we had a guide, and it was actually awesome to have a guide because we learnt so much about the flora and fauna of the park, the trails, the history of the park, how it evolved and got created. Normally you just go on a hike, you see all the visual stuff, obviously our beautiful waterfall and the trees and leaves and stuff, but you miss so much. And Mark from Carolina Bound Adventures, the owner of that, took us and guided us, and he shared a ton of information. It was really interesting and especially great for our kids because, it was like a outdoor classroom for them, hands-on learning.
Yeah, it was fantastic. I loved it. As mentioned, I love this national park so much, and I think this was just a great way for us to understand reasons why we love it so much and why it's so great. And I think it just would have been a walk in the woods without that. Like, as you said, you just miss so much because we don't really know what to pay attention to. But Mark, he's been doing this every day for several years, so he's been able to immerse himself in the forest so much that he can see signs and see how things work. And so he's stopping us and he's showing us where, a pioneer homestead once was, and he's been able to tell that because there's non-native plants growing there now, and it's near a creek, and all these signs that pointed to the fact that pioneers would have been there. Now, we would have just walked past that, not even having a clue. So
clueless.
It was just great to see that, and he gathered all these leaves as we're walking up, and then we stopped and we looked at all the different leaves and just a small sampling of them just to kind of get a glimpse of the diversity of the park. But there's over 150 species of trees in the park, and within each species there's variants of it. So absolutely fascinating.
More than all of Europe. I think he said Europe has 87 species. I could be wrong. It was 80 something.
Yeah, maybe
that's amazing.
87 or 81. But
that's amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. Just in this one area.
I know. Like normally we're just walking like by ourselves. Oh, we've got to get this shot. Or kids, don't run off. There's bears in this park. Stay with us. And, all the usual carry on.
Yeah.
It's just like, and are we there yet? Are we there yet? But like,
we didn't get any of that really. I mean, Savannah was just so into it, which I didn't really notice at the time. Like I knew that she was enjoying it, but she remembered every single fact we were told. And we were told a lot. And now, I mean, this is a sign of a good experience. When, that was on Friday. We're now recording this on Wednesday. She's still every day asking us to quiz her about the Smoky National Park because she wants to share with us everything she learned and remembered.
Oh, she's still driving us crazy. Like, honestly, ask me a question about how many trees or how many wildflowers or how many hiking miles or how is a lake formed, and it's just like
I know,
because we usually cop this at the dinner table at home about math during the day at school. Like she loves getting quizzed about stuff. Yeah. So, but she's just a sponge. She just like
we were like, how did you remember all that? She was just into it, just listening to it, and
So, what were some of the facts? So there's the 150 odd species of trees. There was 900 miles of hiking trails. There's 900 something else. Was it? Wasn't. Oh, fungi. Was it
That's
fungi?
Right. It was.
900 different types of fungi. Like,
that's
amazing.
Right. Yeah.
How many wildflowers can you remember?
1,500.
1,500.
Yes.
I knew there was a
and
big number.
I talk about that in carpool every day.
1,500.
1,500 wildflowers.
And I said to him, who counted them all? Like, who counted all these wildflowers? And the fungi? Like, how do you not get confused? Give or take a few fungi. I mean, I'm sure it's not, 900 on the dot.
Don't go and eat them.
No.
But and there's 31 species of salamander. So it's known as the home of salamanders, the national park.
Yeah, it's just crazy. Like the Smokies is off the charts. Great place. Beautiful. Just like the mood and the mist and like, why they called it the Smokies. We learn about that too. It's just an incredible ecosystem. Like you said, the most diverse on the planet.
Yeah. Costa Rica's the most diverse, and then probably Smokies.
Yeah.
But, do your research on that because sometimes those listings can get mixed up or confused. But the reason it has its name, the Smoky Mountains, is because there's typically low-lying clouds or a haze hanging over the Smoky Mountains, and so it looks smoky. But it's the clouds and it's the evaporation from the trees, which causes it in part, but it's also other factors involved with it, but it's also a protection for the park to maintain and keep that ecosystem.
Yeah.
And I was reading something online how they're doing a lot of studies there now to investigate or explore the impact of climate change, because if the cloud coverage is affected and disappears, it will change the entire ecosystem of the Smokies and turn it into a dry area and completely change it. So they're being very careful in how they're studying that now. So let's remember, guys, let's take care of Mother Earth because we do not want things like this to happen.
No, absolutely not. Yeah. Now, Deep Creek area, put that on your list of hiking areas, easy access from Bryson City. And we started this hike at 7:30 and we're early risers. We're up early, 5:30 every morning. Yeah. You guys are probably freaking out. I'm on vacation and not getting up for a 7:30 a.m. hike, which meant we had to leave our cabin at 7. But early hiking is the best time. It's quiet, the fresh, crisp air, and you'll pretty much have the trail to yourself. As Mark said, he always does these hikes at this time of the day. The lighting's beautiful. And, because, we might have mentioned this before, but we've come to know Americans since living here that you guys are kind of lazy. You like to sleep in a bit. And
not lazy. They actually are hard workers, but they just like to sleep in.
Okay, let me rephrase that. Yeah. You like to sleep in and you liked your buffet breakfasts. We learnt that in the Grand Canyon when we did the famous hike over there, the Brightleaf Trail. It said get up, do it early. Americans will be having their breakfast and stuff like.
Yeah.
You can beat the rush and beat the crowd.
They're more nighttime. Americans, I find, are more nighttime people.
Yeah. Okay, I apologize. You're not lazy, guys. You're very hardworking, very diligent. You're just not morning people. Maybe you like your breakfasts. Yeah. As do I. But because it's. Well, the thing is, we're still getting used to how many people are in this country. So many people. Like I said, when we travel over the country, whether it's a national park, a theme park, whatever, go early, beat the rush, beat the crowds. Much more relaxing.
And we did. We had that trail all to ourselves, and then when we were coming out, we did 4 miles. We were in there maybe 2 to 3 hours, I think, because we were just walking slow, taking our time, talking and all of that.
A lot of photos and stuff.
A lot of photos. And then when we were coming out, in came the people. It was like, thank God.
Here comes the rush.
We missed that.
Here comes peak hour. Breakfast is over.
Yeah. That's right. And this area, if you go in the summertime, the Deep Creek area is popular for tubing. So you can, I think you walk your tube in about a mile, pop it in the creek, and away you go. Yeah.
So check out, we'll link to Mark and his company, Carolina Bound. Help me out here. Carolina
Bound Adventures, and he does other guided stuff too. And one thing, his favourite tour, which we would have loved, is a waterfalls and brewery tour.
Oh, yeah. Sign me up for that.
Yeah. So that sounds like a cool one.
And seasonal stuff too. But yeah, he does mountain biking, he does hiking, he does waterfall hikes, he does stand-up paddle guided tours, or you can rent equipment from him. He does it all. Even organised, I think, horseback riding, fly fishing, all the above. Everything you can do outdoors in the mountains and the Smokies.
Yep, and you can pretty much do everything out there.
Yeah. All right, so we didn't have breakfast, but we went to attempt to have brunch after our hike back into Bryson City. And just keep in mind, when we're going to talk about this, but visiting in Polar Express season is very busy because 90,000 people go there over the 2-month period. So eating can be a challenge, and it's best to book ahead if you've got a particular restaurant you want to go to. We missed out on a local's favourite, the
Bistro at the Everett Hotel.
Bistro at Everett Hotel, and the diner,
Everett Street Diner.
Everett Street Diner, who we wanted to go to for brunch, but they stopped cooking breakfast at 11 a.m. and we just missed it.
We did on both days, and Bryson City is small, so there's not a lot of eating places really
to spread everyone out.
To spread everyone out. And we came across that on Sunday as we were leaving. We went to get some bagels because again we tried to get into Everett Street Diner but just missed it for brunch, and so we went to the Mountain Peak for bagels, and the wait there was crazy, and it wasn't the staff were working so hard. The owner there was there. She was so friendly and so nice. It was nothing to do with anything on their end. It was just the amount of people that were there, and she was telling me that on a Sunday the 2 other coffee shops in town, the only 2 other coffee shops in town, don't open. So that meant she was the only place really, except for the sit down at the Everett Street Diner, which was also really busy. So it's something to keep in mind. Reserve if you can. I don't know if you can or not, but leave plenty of time.
Well, restaurants book ahead. I think cafes obviously is just walk in and order. But
I don't even know if Everett Street did take reservations. I know the bistro at the Everett Hotel does, and they start serving at 4:30 because the Polar Express starts going. I'm not sure what time they start their trains, but our one was 6:40. And
there's one before
hotel
that.
Opened at 4:30, so they do early dinners because of the Polar Express, so you do want to reserve. Yeah,
it's interesting those 2 other coffee shops are closed on a Sunday. You'd think that'd be prime time for coffee and bagels, but I guess that's as a business owner, you have the freedom and choice to do that.
Right.
So
people choosing quality of life.
Yeah.
There you go.
But they had New York at Mountain Perks Espresso Bar and Cafe. Check that out. They have New York style bagels. Coffee was pretty good, and
gluten-free
bagels for the win.
Yep.
And one of the other popular thing there is to put your bagel sandwich items on a croissant, which I did.
Yep. Popular.
I still prefer a bagel, but it was different.
Good. They were good bagels. And the other bakery, La Dolce Vita, they also have bagels and biscuits, and they have gluten-free ones as well. And we picked up bagels there the following morning on the way to see the elk. So that's another bagel place, but they're not open on Sunday.
Yeah. We mentioned Bryson City is like 1 or 2 streets in the main downtown area, so it's a cool place to walk around. A lot of like cafes, shops, galleries and stuff, and unique stores. Mm-hmm. So the visitor center and a couple of museums. Oh, and wherever we travel, no matter how experienced we are, we always pop into the visitor center because you always get good tips from the locals, pick up some free maps, get some ideas and stuff like that. And it's a really nice building.
It is a nice building. It used to be the old courthouse, and they have it decorated nicely for Christmas. And they all have the Swain County. They also have the Swain County Heritage Museum upstairs, which is free. It's only small, but it's worth popping up, wandering
decent
around.
Decent size, I thought.
Yeah.
There's a whole upstairs level.
The whole upstairs, yeah. For a museum, I guess that was small, but it was great. Give you insight into the history of the area. Worth 10-minute walk around.
Absolutely. Yeah. Some of the shops we went into. What top of your head? A few favourites.
120 Main. I love that. It's on Main Street. It is a restored historic inside.
Is it called Main Street?
Yeah. So there's Everett Street and Main Street intersects the T-junction there. And, it was in a restored historic building. So it was a really beautiful building, only quite small. But inside there's a local artist. I can't remember her name right now, but it's in the blog post. And it's her store. So she has really great like home decor, journals, stationery, that kind of stuff. But she has all of her artwork in there, and her artwork was great. I really wanted to buy some stuff, but I loved that she had this beautiful artwork with lots of quotes about from women, empowering women. Like Amanda Gorman was there, Mother Teresa, just all around the room. So it was great. I love that store a lot.
Yeah. And there's some other cool boutique type stores, and then obviously your touristy type stores too. So yeah. But the kids' favourite shop, I think, was the chocolate shop.
The chocolate shop.
Which I like that too. I love chocolate. But yeah.
Nice smell when you walk in there.
Yeah. It knocks you out. It's great. It's very tempting just to buy 100 chocolates because they're so small.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, we got some chocolates. They also have ice creams in there, and the kids had an ice cream on another afternoon, and sugar-free chocolates, which is if you're watching your sugar intake.
Yeah.
And you can't really tell they don't have sugar. Well, I can't because I'm used to it now. But yeah.
Yeah, and I looked at the ingredients because we're like health nuts. We look at the ingredients of everything. And the ingredients on their sugar-free chocolates were pretty good. I was quite impressed actually. With the ingredients in there. It was mostly all pretty decently healthy, and it tasted great.
Yeah.
Really good. So plug for the chocolate shop.
Absolutely. All right. So let's chat about the main reason there, or one of the main reasons, the Polar Express train ride.
Hot chocolate. I cannot get that song out of my head.
Oh man, that was funny. Like that was my favorite part of the whole train ride. Actually, really the 1.25 hour train ride. I mean, the kids enjoyed it. They loved it. It was magical and stuff like that. But yeah, the staff on the train were dancing and singing various stuffs, and one of the things you get is a hot chocolate because it was cold. It's middle of November.
Yeah.
But yeah. As hot chocolate. We've got it.
And then so we're all singing, dancing. Sorry, you can see Craig singing, dancing on the reel. I'll link to that in the show notes. It's on my travel blog Instagram.
But hear me singing too much, but
but it was really fun. And, especially for younger kids who were still there at that magic Santa Christmas age. It's such a treat for them because it really is a reimagining of the Polar Express, the book and the movie.
Yeah.
And so they've just created this pretty cool experience, really. And one thing we missed the memo on, but we're going to let you know, the thing to do is turn up in matching pajamas.
Yes.
We missed that memo.
I know. I'm so sad.
Left out.
Sad. Like, it looked like just setting the scene more and whole experience. It's like, whatever style goes. Could be ugly, an ugly sweater and pajama bottoms or whatever.
Whatever. But it was funny because before we went on it, we didn't know about this. And we're sitting at the brewery and we're watching these families walk by in matching pajamas. And Kalara and I are like looking and laughing. I'm like, Kalara, why aren't we walking around the streets in matching pajamas? We didn't know that's what they were doing it for. And then we got to the Polar Express and everyone's wearing matching pajamas.
That's hilarious.
My God, I didn't know this.
Yeah. Next time.
Yeah, but it was fun. So you go on the train. It's the Great Smoky Mountains Railroad. So that region of Bryson City, back in the day, the railroad was really very important to them. So they do run train excursions every day, year round, I believe, with the Great Smoky Mountains Railroad. But every Christmas season, they do the Polar Express. So you get on and you have the singing and dancing from the show. They read a bit of the story. You get your hot chocolate.
A cookie. Oh, and what is it? The snickerdoodle.
Snickerdoodle cookie. Yeah. Yep. And then you get on the train ride to the North Pole. And
this is funny too.
Out the window. Again, they've taken, I think, people's homes and they've lit them all up.
I know. Like, what's the deal there?
Yeah, it's
they've
really
just
clever.
Roped them into the set.
Yeah, I know. And the whole time I'm wondering, do they pay them for this or do they just do it?
Well, actually, I don't know if I would sign up for that. Like a train coming past 4 times a day for
it goes past every day though because it's the Smoky Mountains Railroad.
Well, true.
So they're bought knowing
but not lit up like a Christmas tree and random people dancing in your front yard.
It's so funny. Yeah, they have a section of it where they have the elves outside dancing on the lawn, and so you drive past in the train waving to them, and
the reindeer in their little
then he disappears.
Barn thing, and
that's right. All the reindeer were in the barn,
and then these humans dressed up, just jumping around, full of enthusiasm. Yeah. They were all off the charts. Yeah. It was great.
It was fun, and then Santa comes on and gives everyone a bell, and then you ring your bell because you all believe, and then you go home.
Yeah. It was fun. Yeah, I was thinking when we first jumped on it and it was dark, I'm thinking we're missing the view out the windows, but then you get the nighttime lights and all that festivities. So in the daytime, I don't know how that would work, but yeah, I'm not sure of the times.
I don't think they run it in the day.
Oh, they don't?
Polar Express.
Oh, okay.
They may do other
actually, yeah, you're right. I think the one started 5-ish, so it would be dark by the time you get down to because it goes up and back.
Yeah, it's
it's about an hour and a quarter, I think I said. Yeah. But, put it on your list. Very popular. But be sure, it is books out quickly every year. Well, obviously last year it wasn't on, but 90,000 people I mentioned. So you want to book it out, ahead of time.
And they do I think they do 4 rides a night, and each train takes about 200 people. Right?
I don't know that, but there was a lot of carriages and there's various ticket options. I don't know what each cabin difference is, ticket prices.
There's not a lot of difference. The first class, they'll get like a souvenir mug and different seats, I think. It's not like huge difference between first class and carriage.
Oh, first class, you'd expect Tom Hanks to walk through or something, wouldn't you?
That's what we were saying. I think Tom Hanks was down in first.
Where's Tommy Boy? Going to make a special appearance at least once a year? Like, come on, man. Tom. What else are you doing?
Note to Tom.
Not much.
Come on.
Making movies in Australia or something?
Yeah,
I don't know.
So.
But yeah, Polar Express. Savannah still talks about it. So, and we like to make. We've got a blog post we're going to publish in the next day or two that we can link to as well. We like to make our holidays and Christmas time about unique experiences and stuff. So this was a nice one this year.
Yeah, I think because for us, we don't have family over here. So, and Craig and I have always for many, many years been traveling away from family during Christmas. So we've always made experiences part of our Christmas that's how we make it special.
For example, Victoria Falls in
2003. Yes, 2003 in Zimbabwe, we did Christmas there at Victoria Falls.
Yeah, that was amazing.
That was incredible.
Had a buffet Christmas lunch at this hotel right near Victoria Falls and the mist of the falls. That was amazing.
Smoke that thunders. It was amazing. So we did that, and since we've moved back to the US and we have blog content on this on Why Travel Blog, we had Christmas in New York.
Yep.
We did wasn't actually Christmas Day. We go there for the Christmas season, which would run typically after Thanksgiving up until Christmas, you can go into, various places around the country and get that Christmas experience. So we did 2 weeks Christmas in New York just after
we
Thanksgiving.
did Christmas Day in New York.
Yeah, you and I did, but I'm talking
pre-kids.
about this time with kids.
I was going to say, because we were ice skating in Central Park on Christmas morning and the carols were playing, we're like, this is amazing. It's like we're on a movie set.
Yeah,
but then we
incredible.
ended up having lunch in Chinatown because we didn't plan the food thing very good.
Most things
and
were
we
closed.
closed or booked out.
We were friends. So
or expensive. And we were, scraping the budget.
Yeah.
Back in that day.
It was good. But we did New York and Christmas with the girls. And, that just made their New York experience that much better. And they still say New York is their favorite place. And they're asking, when can we go back? When can we go back? And I really do believe, because being there at Christmas, New York is magical at Christmas.
Oh, yeah.
It's
even
great.
like Macy's. And I don't like shopping malls or centers, but even Macy's was cool.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. It was.
But the other thing for us is, being Aussies, like Christmas for us is summer at the beach, hot. And over here, like we grew up watching the movies and stuff, and on your Christmas cards is just like the snow theme and scene and stuff like that. So it just makes it more real, I guess, having Christmas in the wintertime when it does snow and stuff like that, and all the festivities.
And I guess it feels more magical for us when it is that way, because it never was that way growing up. So it was always out there. It was always the dream, the out there kind of magical thing is it snows at Christmas. So it feels like you've stepped into that magical world having Christmas over here.
Yeah, and what do they say? You've just got to believe.
Yeah, so you believe. Yeah, so that's what we do during our Christmas. Last year was, we won't worry about that. But we did New York and Christmas with the girls. We did New Orleans, which was fun.
Oh, yeah, totally.
Great destination to consider, because they do have, New Orleans culture is very different, and they do have different experiences there. We love the carols by candlelight.
Oh, in Jackson Square.
Yes, because it's what we do in Australia, and I think it's a Catholic tradition. There are a lot of Catholics, I think, in Australia. I grew up Catholic, so that's what our Australian culture is. Christmas carols by candlelight is huge. So we've never seen it in America before, and we were like blown away. They had it in New Orleans.
I'm sure I used to see on the movies sometimes that in people's neighborhoods and stuff, they get together and do like street Christmas carols with the neighbors.
But it's not. It's different to carols by candlelight.
We'll have to bring it to our neighborhood. Maybe they do this year. I don't know.
We will see. New neighborhood. But yeah, so anyway, and then what we do is we started a tradition of buying Christmas ornaments from the regions we've experienced at Christmas time to hang on the tree. And we were hanging the tree last night. We're pulling out the ball from Huntsville. I'm like, remember this was from when we were in Huntsville during Christmas. And so it's just nice when you're putting your tree together and you have these ornaments from Christmas experiences past. It's just nice to put that on and talk about it. So we bought a Christmas ornament from Bryson City, and it's now on our tree.
Yeah, there you go. All right, back to the Smoky Mountains Park. One of the popular, or probably the most popular thing to do in the park is Clingmans Dome, which is the highest peak in the Smokies. Highest point in the Smokies, 6,643 feet high. And you climb up a observation tower. Well, there's a half a mile steep hike up a paved trail to get to the observation tower. And it's a pretty tough hike because
it's steep.
It's steep, and being mid-November, it was 28 degrees Fahrenheit, and the wind was howling, which makes it hard to breathe. So that was a little workout, but again, part of the adventure.
Yeah.
Don't let that,
No, don't let it stop you. Because it's beautiful up there.
When you get up there, it's great. We've done it several times now. And I don't think we've ever been up there and it's just totally blue sky and stuff. But when we got up there last week, there was dustings of snow on the treetops and it was clouded over. But because of the wind, just wait 30 seconds and the view changes.
Yeah, you've got to keep your eye out because you're running from one side because it's 360-degree views. You're running from one side to the other.
Get this photo over here. Quick, kids, get in this photo over there. It's blue sky. Yeah.
But it's a beautiful spot. It's a Smoky Mountain must, really.
Oh, yeah. Just dress appropriately. Look ahead. See what the weather's going to the temperature and the wind factor, and just, be prepared.
And again, a top tip from Mark, who told us get up there before 9:30 because typically he said even any day of the week, because he's in the park a lot on his guides, around 9:30 is when the traffic, he notices Clingmans Dome is where the traffic starts banking up. So we made sure we got there before 9:30.
Yeah.
And it was good because we didn't have a lot of people there.
Yeah. Well, what did I say before? But Americans and their buffet breakfasts. Like, I got to get my hotcakes.
Just get your bagels.
Get your bagels and your waffles.
Your bagels to go.
Yeah, eat it in the car.
Coffee,
that's what we do. Rise and shine.
There you go.
But yeah, near Clingmans Dome is also Newfound Gap, which straddles. There's a plaque there. It's the border of you can straddle the border of NC and Tennessee, which is a cool photo op with the kids.
And I think it's the second highest point in the park, and so you get great views from there. And the Appalachian Trail also runs through here. So if you want to pretend that you've done the Appalachian Trail, you can go and get your photo on the trail with the sign, which is what we've done a couple of times.
Yeah, we pretend that we've walked from, the Smoky Mountains to Maine.
Yeah, there you go. So the App Trail is over 2,000 miles long. It starts in Amicalola Falls down in Georgia and goes all the way to Maine, and 71 miles of it goes through the Smoky National Park. And it is said to be one of the best parts of the Appalachian Trail.
Yeah, yeah. I'd love to do it one time. Maybe, I don't know about the whole trail. No, not all at once, because you need several months, I believe.
Yeah, you do,
to do it all in once, from Georgia to Maine. But yeah, let's start with the part in the Smokies.
Yeah. Savannah's very keen. She wants to do the whole thing. So I told her we'd start with the Smoky Mountains section.
Yeah, yeah. You mentioned Nentahala Outdoor Centre.
Before we go there, can we just mention
Nantahala?
Before we go Nentahala, while we're still in the Smoky Mountains, can we mention the elk?
The elk. How could I forget the elk?
Yeah.
Because I love the wildlife. That's one of my favourite things. But yes, if you know anything about wildlife, we've learnt this many times, particularly on our 6-month safari journey through Africa to see the wildlife. You got to be up early.
Yes.
Or out late at dusk because they like to get up early and they're grazing. So Mark, again, with a hot local tip, we had to leave Bryson City by 7 a.m. and it was a 30-minute drive to the visitor centre in Cherokee.
And the visitor centre is Okanalufti.
Okanalufti. You can take that one.
No, I probably said that wrong.
But it's in Cherokee, the visitor centre. It's 30-minute drive from Bryson City. But Craig had a bit of a scenic detour leaving the cabin, still half asleep, windy roads, no GPS, and Clara was having a bit of a stress attack over not getting a school assignment in on time because we had no Wi-Fi. So we're figuring out how to juggle that. And I took a wrong turn, and that wrong turn ended up being a 30-minute detour through the mountains. Unfortunately, so we arrived a little late, but yeah, if you can get to the visitor centre to see the elk, they graze in the pasture right near the visitor centre, no later than 7:30.
Yeah, as early to just on sunrise.
I'd get there.
Really.
Yeah, you can get there earlier. Yeah, grab a coffee and a bagel and drive there and sit there and do that. But because Mark said he's seen like a herd of up to 40. Yeah, we saw about 5. We saw a few grazing right by the side of the road, which was cool, and then we saw the big male with the antlers just a little off to the side.
Yeah. And fall is the time of the rut, so it's a great time to go and see the elk because that is when the males are fighting each other, mating and they're fighting for the herd dominance. So you could see quite a few elks getting out there and having a antler wrestle, and the bugling you can hear that a lot of.
Yeah, that'd be a magic moment. We didn't hear it in the Smokies, but we heard it in Yellowstone. Yeah, that was pretty cool, and I'm sure we've seen some fighting somewhere too, by memory.
I'm not sure, but and down by the visitor centre, there's a 1.5 mile river trail that goes from the visitor centre, and there's a like a sort of outdoor museum thing there. and sometimes people see the elk grazing on that trail
or
actually in the water itself. So we took a small section of that. We walked a small section of that. That's all we had time for to see if we could see any elk, but we didn't. But we did come behind the elk that we did see grazing in the field.
Yeah, it was a picturesque walk. And if you don't know, with wildlife, keep a good distance because, they're wild and they're big.
And elk have been known to charge people.
Yeah.
So
like moose.
No shot's worth it.
Yeah. They're not quite as big as a moose, which is big like a horse.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. I mean,
take a zoom lens.
You hear some stories in Yellowstone in particular of people doing buffalo selfies and then goodbye, see you later, they get horned. I mean, let's be real.
Yeah, buffalo, they can move quick and they're powerful, obviously. Keep your
Don't
mess with the wildlife, guys.
No selfies, just get your zoom lens out and just capture the beautiful animal on its own.
Yeah.
But back to Nantahala.
Oh, Nentahala. Yeah, you mentioned outdoor adventure playground, but there's a cool restaurant right on the river where we had a bite to eat, and Bailey's coffee was great to start with after our hiking and early mornings, and it was cold.
Yep.
Well, not in the restaurant, but outside. Yep. But Bailey's coffee went down a treat and had local trout.
Yes,
and
really nice.
Some good local fresh food there with a great view overlooking where they do the kayaking rafting, where the Olympic paddlers train that we got to see a bit of, which was cool. Yeah,
it was cool. We just randomly were watching these kayakers, whitewater kayakers, slalom. Yeah. We're watching them. We noticed they had the USA stickers on the kayak. And Savannah noticed it actually. And she said, Mum, one of those has Tokyo Olympics on the stick, USA Tokyo Olympics. And we're like, oh my gosh, we must be watching Olympic athletes train. And so I saw their names on their kayak and I Googled them. And so we were watching only young, 17 years of age, Evie Liebfarth. I know I've not said her last name correctly, and Sam Sharp. And they are both the USA National Slalom Kayak Champions. And Evie went to the Tokyo Olympics and made the semifinals. So that was great that we were just watching them. And, I mean, they were brilliant. And she was just fierce.
Yeah. They're really very, cool. Very skillful.
Yeah. But they're from the area, which is why they train in that Nantahala.
Oh, it'd be a great place to base yourself if you're into that sport.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah, very cool. And another local tip, we did whitewater rafting on the Nentahala River many years ago. It was only a grade 3, so quite tame, great for beginners, but the water is really cold because they release it from the bottom of the Fontana Lake because trout love cold water. I mean, it's good that they look after the trout, but it's a bit chilly for kayaking and whitewater rafting.
And we did it in November, so it was extra cold.
That wasn't very smart, was it? But if you're tubing in the area, probably warms up a bit in summer, but probably not a lot. And also another nature-based thing we did around the area was the Road to Nowhere drive. Very popular thing to do, which was it's called the Road to Nowhere because the government broke a promise to build a 30-mile road along the northern side of the Fontana Lake, from Bryson City to Fontana Lake or the dam. But an environmental issue caused that to end, and they only end up building 6 miles. And at the end of that 6 miles is a cool tunnel that you can walk through, which we did. But that 6 mile drive up has some beautiful views as well of the mountains and Fontana Lake.
Yeah, it was really beautiful. And the government, because many people were displaced from that area for them to build the dam, which they built during, I believe, World War II, because they needed a lot of power to build, for aluminium, to build the aircraft they needed for the war. So a lot of these people were displaced, and so they promised them this road to go the Lakeview area so that they could get access to their family cemeteries that were there. And as you said, then they couldn't go ahead with it because of the environmental. They had to pay millions of dollars worth of compensation to these families because they did not go ahead with that road as promised. Yeah,
but put that on your list as a cool thing to do. Fun walk through the tunnel and stuff for the kids. And particularly pretty at this time of year. Mm-hmm. All right, let's finish up with a couple of breweries because, we always like to visit a brewery, a local brewery in town, taste the brews. And they've got some good ones in Bryson City.
Yeah, they do.
One of them is upstairs rooftop brewery right on the river right off Everett Street in downtown. And we got to take in some bluegrass one evening, and they have a cool food truck attached to it, which is a local's favourite as well. Yeah,
the Rice Wagon is the food truck. It's like a Hawaiian type food.
Yeah.
And we had a lot of people recommend it to us. And then when I was ordering, there was a local guy sitting there with his dog, and he said, "This is the best food in town. I eat here like 4 nights a week." So that's a pretty good recommendation.
Yeah, and this is Mountain Layers Brewing, we're talking about. There's a downstairs bar area and then the upstairs rooftop, which is pretty cool. So you can sit out and look over the street and look over the river. Good beer too. Had a really nice oatmeal stout.
That went down well. Guinness. It was good. It was a good
Went down well with the cold weather.
And wine slushies. They have wine slushies.
Yeah, wine slushies. But yeah, that's a cool brewery. Definitely check that one out. And but a real local's favourite is Bryson City Outdoors. But it's like a multi-purpose place because they have outdoor adventure gear. They have like 250 plus bottles and cans for sale, and then like at least a dozen beers on draft on tap, craft beers.
Yep, and then they have the outdoor sitting area.
Cool,
fire pits.
Yeah, cool outdoor area, a food truck and a fire pit. So it was a nice place to relax and chill.
It was.
Have a few beers before dinner.
They had gluten-free beer there, which was great.
Yeah.
So, applause for them. It was a really good spot. We loved hanging out there. Food trucks there. Just had a nice kind of local man of the woods kind of vibe.
Man of the woods, there it is again.
Yeah, woman of the woods.
Yeah, and it's just
people
not far from the visitor centre, just around the corner. Like easy to walk to.
Yeah.
But no, I forgot to mention though, before we went on the Polar Express, the dinner place we went to escape the crowds, the Nentahala Brewing Company.
Yep, Brewing Company.
Yeah, just a little bit of a walk, not too much of a walk, down the street, but kind of near the train depot. And yeah, they had good pizzas, wings, good barbecue plate actually, and quick service and outdoor fire pits and live music. So it was great. Yeah. Family friendly brewery.
Yeah, good spot
like they all
to
are.
Go for sure.
Yeah.
Because there's like kind of no reservation system, no kind of waiting really, because you just walk up and order and then go and find your seat, and it wasn't too busy. It was great.
Yeah. There you have it. As Bryson City in 2 days and 3 nights and the Smoky Mountains, and
it was good.
We'll definitely want to go back in different seasons and do more of the water-based stuff and some mountain biking, some horse riding, some zip lining, and more of the trails in the park. And
yeah, we're so lucky. It's on our doorstep.
To do.
It's just such a special area, and I'm so grateful that it's so close and we can go any time of the year really and get that sort of escape experience. Yeah,
there's other cool places in the area too. It's like near, we want to check out more of Cherokee. See Lake Junaluska, not far from Asheville, 1 hour?
Just over an hour.
And another place we've become aware of, Silver.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to exploring Silver. I'm hearing a lot about it lately, so I'm thinking it could be an up-and-coming destination, one to check out. I know the food scene, the brewery scene is kind of bursting out of there at the moment, so that's one to think about. Yeah, lots to do. Yeah, and then so we're back. This is the week before Thanksgiving, and this Sunday we are heading for a cabin retreat to Boone, just off the Blue Ridge Parkway in the northern part of the Carolina Mountains. So we are very excited about that, and we will do a podcast on that when we come back from there. Yeah, looking forward to another cabin stay and checking out Boone and Blowing Rock and Grandfather Mountain and Linville Falls. Yeah, yep. Awesome. Cool part of the world. All right. Thanks again, guys. Thanks, guys. If you like this podcast, please share it with a friend. That's the best way to support us. And subscribe on your favorite podcasting platform, or watch it on Instagram, IGTV, or on YouTube. But it's pretty much most places. It'll be on our Facebook too. Yeah. Thanks, guys. We appreciate your support. Yeah. And love. And happy Thanksgiving, y'all. Out with us. Enjoy some food. You're probably going to be hearing this after Thanksgiving, but just know we were thinking of you. Oh, yes, exactly. I forgot about that. There's a few others in the pipeline, but we'll get this out ASAP. But hope you had a great Thanksgiving, watching football, eating, drinking, all that jazz. Let's get ready for Christmas now.
Yeah. If anyone's out there looking for, want to start a podcast or need help editing, producing, marketing a podcast, check out Jason and his team at Influence Media. They take care of our podcast, do a great job right here in the Raleigh founded, their studios in the Raleigh founded in the Warehouse District.
Yep. Awesome. All right, guys, we'll see you in the next episode.
All right. Cheers.
Bye.
Bye.